Hello, welcome back. So, let's go on to the next problem. Best time to buy and sell a stock. Now, this problem is probably one of those problems that are easier if you've seen a similar type of problem. But what it requires you to do is kind of get intuition about the dynamics of the thing that you're modeling. Here, it's a stock price. So, here, best time to buy and sell a stock. You're given it an array prices where price is I is the price of a given stock on the ith day. You have to maximize your profit by choosing a single day to buy one stock and choosing a different day in the future to sell that stock. So return the maximum profit you can achieve from this transaction. If you cannot achieve any profit, return 0. So here's our examples, right? Our examples are, let me make this a little bit smaller so I can bring in the iPad here. Our examples are here, right? Prices is 7, 1, 5, 3, 6, 4. So if you imagine this is a chart, make that 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So here's 7, here's 1, here's, I lost count. Here is a 5, here's a 3, 6, and a 4. Okay, so you imagine that this is a day change, this is another day, this is a day, this is another day, and this is a day. And pretty clear that what we have here is an x-axis and the y-axis, this being days or periods, however they want to talk about it in the question. They're calling it days. So this is going to be days. And let me move that. So what's the intuition here? The intuition here is you, in stocks, for a profit, you want to buy low. So whatever these low points are, and you want to sell high, right? You have to buy before you sell. So even though we may want to sell at the 7, can't because that's in the past. You can only buy at the 7. So there's some idea of, in terms of state, we need to have some idea of an available purchase that we've made. So purchased, date and price is something that could be useful for us to save as state. As we move through time, so let's move this circle over, we can possibly, if we know the price that we bought it for, so here we go to the 1, and we see that buying it at 1 is much better than buying it at 7. So maybe there's this quality of minimum, maybe minimum seen price, right? I don't know if it's a global minimum, but there's some quality of a minimum. I moved from the 1 to the 5, and this is the first time I've seen the ability to have a profit, right? So we sell, imagine you sell at the 5, and then we bought at the 1. So the profit is 4. Great. So now we know in terms of state, we probably want the highest profit we've ever seen. So the profit is 4. So let's move from this 5 to the 3. Okay, so what do we do to measure the profit landing at the 3? We maybe consider selling at the 3 and buying at that 1 that we have, and the profit here would be 2, so it doesn't match what we want. We move from the 3 over to the 6, and possibly we can do the same thing. We sell at the 6, and we've bought at the 1. So minimum seen here is at 1, and profit is now 5. So we can update the highest profit to 5. So in this example, and we continue on, we get to the 4, and 4 minus 1 is 3, right? It's going to be lower. So in this example, the first minimum right here, I guess 7 would be a minimum. So maybe 7 is our first minimum. We see that 1 is a lower minimum. So in terms of logic, as we're iterating, I'm going to go type in iteration. We have to at least check the profit, and then if higher or if highest, set, I'm just going to say this as the highest, and then we want to check if it's the lowest, I guess, buy point, right? The lowest purchasable price. And then everything else in the future, no matter how high it goes, it can go super high. The lowest price, as long as it's in the past, will provide us that profit. Now this example, we go from 7 to 1. And 1 becomes our lowest. Is there any case where this isn't, actually we could just take the second example, right? So we take the second example and it's 7, I'm going to draw this in a different color, I'll draw this in red. In the second example, example 2, it's 7 and then 6. Maybe this would be, I'm using layers for the first time here. Maybe this would be good as a different layer so I can hide it. So 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so here, 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 here. So in this iteration, we check the profit. It would be empty for the first one, but we first get to the 7, and 7's lower than, nothing. So that's our new lowest. And okay, that's our new lowest. We move to the 6. 6 is now our new lowest. Now, when we're setting a new lowest, it's probably not going to be a profit, right? Anytime you see the lowest price possible, probably not going to be a profit. So maybe in this iteration, if you check the lowest, you set the lowest, else you check the profit. Right. So that's probably our iteration logic. We go from that 6 to the 5, the new lowest, to the 3, a new lowest, 6, a new lowest. So the maximum profit is 0. Now, can we be tricked? Can we see something where it's always going up? It's not really a trick, but let's imagine we go from 1 to 3 to 5 to 6 to 7. Does our logic work in this case? Well, here 7 is going to be our new lowest. It's going to be our first lowest. 1 is not going to be the lowest. So we're going to check, we're going to check the profit. What's the profit between this 3, this 1? It's 2. Okay. And then we move our circle over to here. And that's going to be 5 minus 1, because 1 is the lowest that we've seen. And then we go to here, and that's going to be 6 minus 1. And then we go to here, and that's going to be 7 minus 1. So I think that's it. I think the code is basically, we have some idea of this iteration, we have some idea of the state, and we can go ahead and just code that, and then think through the edge cases as we look at it. So let's just code the exact iteration that we wrote here. We want to store some state, and the lowest seen is one of them. So we have minimum seen, I guess, min seen. So maybe min price, and I don't remember how to do this. I believe you do something like float infinity, and that makes it an infinitely large number. So anything compared to it will be small. And then highest profit that we've seen. And highest profit, I guess it would be the opposite. Negative infinity. And for price and prices, we're going to iterate this. We're going to check lowest price seen, or else we're going to check profit. Right? These are going to be the two flows that we have, and that's going to look like, you know, if price is smaller than the minimum price, then we're going to set a new minimum price. And that's going to be the price that we have here, or else we want to check the profit, right? So if it's not the smallest price ever, then it is some number that is larger than, let me turn this layer off. If it's not the lowest price ever, so it's not this one, then it's some number that is larger than the lowest price that we've seen, right? And that's going to allow us to calculate a difference, and that potential profit could be positive, it could be negative, of selling at this price and then having bought at the minimum price that we've ever seen. And then if this profit is larger than the highest profit that we've ever seen, then we go ahead and we change that. And now that I'm looking at this, I realize there's a chance we return negative infinity, which is not what we want to return. We want to return 0 if there's no profit, right? So if we can only do negatives, or if there's just no profit available, we want to return 0. So the highest profit that we've seen is going to be this. Let's go ahead and check this. Cannot access local variable highest price. Right, because highest price is a bug. So always take a quick look before you run it, because it's good practice in an interview if you can't run it to know what's going on. So the minimum price is this. Highest profit is this. And you can see that it highlights it here for prices and prices. We want to check this is the lowest price we've ever seen. If it is, we will do a quick update. And if it's not, we will check the profit, and that's going to be the minimum. The price, it's not going to be the minimum, but it's going to be this price minus the minimum price. Can this minimum price ever be float infinity at this point? No, because it's always going to at least hit this if statement one time, unless this price, you know, is also infinity, which would be a really tricky thing to do for LeetCode. So it says it's right, but you want to convince yourself internally that it's right. It's more important. And it's the idea that at any price that you find, you'll notice if you ever bought stocks, everything in the future, all of the future, right? What's a good color for future? Let's just choose a color I haven't used yet, purple. So everything in the future is a price that you can sell it for, right? So you buy something and you could sell it at this price, or 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 this price. And these distances, right, are your option in the future of taking a loss or a gain. And as you move towards the future, you know, this one's not super realistic, but as you move towards the future, you can make a decision of selling and then rebuying, selling and rebuying. The reason this one isn't super realistic is because you see everything all at once, right? This is the ultimate FOMO exercise, to just pontificate on what would have been the best super trade, right? This would have been the super trade for that day. You may have sold, but actually, this is the super trade, right? And if you can go backwards, this would be another super trade. So you'd probably be able to make more money from this short than you can make money from this gain, because this would be a $6 gain if you short it, if it's dollar for dollar, and you know, you don't have to pay margin fees or whatever, and this would be a profit, right? This would be a gain. So, you know, you can probably do this problem in both ways, where you can run it from left to right. You can run it from right to left if you want to do the short version. And then if you want to do some type of, you know, mixed version, you could mix some of that logic as well, right? Anyway, don't need to go into weeds. This is a pretty simple problem once you understand the dynamics of this forward in time. Time always moves forward. It's true in life, true in this problem. And when you buy, you're trying to look into the future, and that's giving you a clue of what type of state you're going to need, right? You're going to need some state to say, I'm so happy I got this price. And then you're going to need some state to say, I'm so happy I sold, right? Awesome. Thanks a lot.